1989, the year of living dangerously. QB, August 89, 3 a.m. Every lesson learned brought the wonder years closer to an end as this generation's survivors came of age. The Reagan era was over, the Soviet Union was crumbling, and from as far away as Berlin, bricks were tumbling from the wall. While the agency was giving the enemy a new face, some, like fame and fortune, climbed the masonry on their way to higher learning. Others, like Thomas, who later this year get caught with a pocket full of stones, were trapped in the court system, and many on their way to rocks like Rikers Island counted the days until they could get back to life. As those who had ignored Nancy's plea to just say no fell back to a frightening reality. And then we had Malik and Bill, who already at the halftime of their lives stayed getting by however they wanted, mainly drinking, smoking, and enjoying the ride. No. Damn, how many times do cats gotta tell you no? You acting like you don't speak English or something. Malik raised his voice. No, motherfucker, no. Bill was calmer when he spoke. You crazy, Rob. What's the deal? You think we got a Coinstar machine in the tip or something? You wild. First you come short, and then you come with change. No quarters and nothing. Fucking pennies. And why the bag wet, Rob? Tell the truth. You got the shit out the fountain, didn't you? Rob had on overalls with high-top shoes and shirt tails. He looked like he'd been bathed in oil. His odor burned the nose, and his voice sounded like he'd been gargling gravel. His wife, Nip, was a little thing, a fast talker with pigtails held in place by caked-on Ampro gel. Her sneakers squished as she rocked from side to side. They were made for each other. What is this? He asked, undaunted. You ain't gotta count shit. They all there. This me, baby Robbie. I been knowing y'all. Rob sighed and smacked his lips. Shit, y'all cats making all that money in the hood, and y'all gonna trip over $1? $1 fucking dollar. But that's the thing, said Malik. You ain't got dollars, Rob. You got pennies. Bill snickered and gave him a pound. Leak, why y'all trying to play Robbie shady, baby? Do I play y'all like that when I come through with the merch? Huh? Robbie be the man then. So don't be cruel and let me be the man now. Hook a brother up with 2 nice cracks so me and my old lady can go on the roof and do our thing. Malik scoffed at the baseheads. You serious? Dion looking for you right now for selling him them broken amps. Then you come round here yesterday trying to get off that bullshit. He stopped short and asked Rob a question. You lived in QB all your life, right? Rob squinted. Yeah. Who you know got a fireplace in this bitch? Bill snickered and gave Malik another pound as Rob stuttered. Hey, I didn't hook. I ain't know them amps was broke. A brother gave them to me like that, you know? If I knew they... He paused a few more seconds, then gave up. Fuck all that, man. I'ma take care of you on the first. I'll pay you double on the first. Come on, y'all. Do the right thing. I'm sick, baby. I'm hurting. Bill was sick of the games. We doing the right thing. You come at the rosters with this shit, they gonna whoop your ass with that bag. Get the fuck out of here and go get some dollars. 10 of them shits. Nip stepped in to rescue her man. Baby, y'all is acting whack. I only smoke nice rocks. If y'all shit good, I'll bring you customers out their ass. You won't have time to cut it. You'll be selling straight out of the measuring pot. Bill and Malik looked at each other. What the fuck? Malik shouted. English, motherfucker. English. Leak. Bill, y'all. Y'all little dudes is like family to me. I practically raised y'all. And this is how you do me? Family? Bill jumped up and shoved the two out into a cool, starry night. Bye. Bye. Y'all get the fuck out of here. Come back with some paper. He waved to the lookouts on the roof. They signaled back before he went back in the building. Rats ducked inside the elevator shaft as he walked past the graffiti up to the first landing. He moved an empty bottle and sat in the dim, pissy staircase. On the way down to get his slinky, Malik sparked a blunt and passed the E&J. The OJs played behind the door of a first-floor apartment as they got bent and struggled to stay awake. Excerpt 39.
Excerpt 39 is the OJ's Stairway to Heaven. There we have Stairway to Heaven again.
This cat hit my old girl like 10 years ago, and now I'm supposed to give him props for that? Man, where these dudes' head be at, son? Gone, said Malik. They zombies, kid. Bill agreed. You ever sit and wonder where all this shit is going? Where we headed? Malik imitated Cool Mo D. Self-destruction. We headed for self-destruction. I'm for real. How long you think this drug game gonna last, man? Them people ain't playing no more. You see how they doing Noriega and Gotti? Malik stopped playing with the slinky. He was about 2 sips away from being an alcoholic, so he slurred a little when he spoke. Okay, last time, this is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. When Bill didn't laugh, Malik got serious. I meditated on that shit, son. It's like this. Remember what my pop said when he caught us smoking? The more I look at it, the more I can see the whole shit. Especially when I done blew one. They laughed. Man, drugs ain't going nowhere. No matter what they tell you, people need that shit. Your whole, your brain. Dudes' whole bodies is made out of drugs. 'Cause dig it. Malik tried to get his thoughts together. People, they come from the earth. So when they die, they going back to that shit. Earth, son. That's it right there. All this shit that grow, herbs and plants and seeds and shit. You know how if you fuck with enough of them or mix them together, you get a high. Well, we got seeds, son. Our bodies, our minds, everything's supposed to grow like plants and crops. It's just some of us is roses and some of us is weeds. As long as folks been living, they been doing drugs. That shit is nature, man. It's natural. You think so? Asked Bill. Most definitely, said Malik assuredly. Bill put his thoughts out there. On the real, I think one of the reasons they be telling cats not to fuck with shit is because it gets you thinking deep. That long-term, goal planning type thinking. They don't want us thinking like that 'cause, man, the more people be thinking, the more thinkers will link up and peep they plan. They'd see that we ain't nothing but slaves. We be paying taxes and living all fucked up while they rich asses be lying back on yachts and sending their people to the moon. If cats knew that, I bet you they'd stop sleepwalking and start making moves. You know, planning their futures, starting their own businesses, and stacking their paper. Shit. Them people can't let dudes know they still slaves, 'cause if they knew, for sure they'd get live on some Nat Turner shit like Paris be spittin'. Malik scoffed. They'd come right back on some executive order 11490 shit. FEMA, martial law, black helicopters, and prison shit. Bill ignored the liquor talking. Whatever. That's some Willie Lynch shit right there, straight up and down. That's what I think. I'ma tell you something else I thought of when I was zoning. What? That the world gon' blow up? You ain't know? Bill threw some change at him. Nah, son. I'm going to Job Corps. Malik got real serious. What? So what you saying? Bill said it again, slow and loud for the people in the cheap seats. I'ma go to Job Corps, get my GED, then I'ma go to the Navy. B, you bugging. When you think of this, I've been thinking about it ever since we seen Top Gun. You know I don't feel right unless I'm Mach 10 with my hair on fire. Malik had mixed feelings like a mulatto. He forced a smile, but he didn't know what he'd do without his wingman. Bill dropped him a hint. You ain't thought about going back? Nah, son. I promised my old earth I'd get my GED, but I ain't going back to high school. Schools are fucked up. Dudes only go to fuck hoes, and hoes only go to show off for cats. The teachers be on some bullshit. They just go there to get paid. And some more shit I was thinking about. After you learn reading, writing, and math, and I ain't talking about that calculus and trig shit, basic math. The rest of it you can learn yourself. True, said Bill. But you gotta have that diploma or ain't nobody gonna hire you. That's Sheila talking right there. Ain't nobody hiring us no way. It's millions of cats trying to get jobs, and the people in them corporate offices hire one blackface so they can make a quota. What the rest of us supposed to do? Cats gotta make their own jobs. Shit, we on the clock right now. I wanna do something different anyway. Like what? I don't know, said Malik, looking the other way. Make movies, write books. Mom said to choose one, and when I get my GED, she'll get me a camcorder or a typewriter. Get the typewriter. You forever writing them little stories. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They sat speechless for a minute. But that camera would be tight, said Bill. We could make our own pornos like new wave hookers. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They slapped hands and Bill pointed the bottle at him. Ah, Leek wanna be a movie maker. Malik took it and sipped some more brandy. What kind of shit you gonna make, asked Bill. Some action shit like Die Hard, or some of that corny shit you be dragging me to see? Stop frontin', son. You know you like that shit. You was tearing up when Sophia got her ass beat and when Goose died. Bill kicked him. That shit was ill, B. They settled down and Malik said, yeah, son, that's the move. It ain't nothing else left for us out here. Bill put out the last of the blunt. For you it is, he said. In your heart, you know what you're supposed to be doing. Ever since that night, maybe before that, I knew a long time ago. That's why when you were scared to rock in the park, I pushed you. That shit sounds crazy, right? You always been the quiet type, and something just told me my part was to play at the back and push. That's why I never tried to steal none of your life, son. Especially when it comes to rhyming. That's your time to shine. That night, At the end of the event, I seen it be like I was one of Dion's psychic friends or something. Dude had it all and still couldn't pull it off. The way you gave it to him that night was real. Them cats couldn't do nothing with that. That's why he tried to pull that crab-ass move. And that's why the shorties had to get at him. Ace had already told us about his crew. They faithers with Satan. Everything them cats into is underworld related. Queens, November 8th, 1988. When the ciphers broke after the Apollo that night, they divided into 3 groups. Malik was exhausted. He took it in and laid it down. Bill, XS, and some of the others found something to get into, while Bagheera and Merlin's crew plotted as they followed AD and Karma. Hours later, they still hadn't made up their minds whether to steal him, peel him, or just kill him for the name. Luckily, he spotted their car as they sat in front of her building. "Yo, you know them cats back there?" Karma looked and recognized Baggy. "That looks like Malik's little brother and his friends." AD smirked as he watched the streets through his mirror. "You mean them little cats from earlier?" "They young," said Karma. "They ain't nothing. You want me to say something? 'Cause I don't want no trouble." "Pfft, I ain't worried about them cats. They ain't worth my shells." "Still," Karma picked up his car phone. "I'ma call Malik and see what's up." She dialed the number, but no one answered. "Ma, don't even worry," said AD. "I'm good." "You sure?" asked Karma. "Alright. Thanks for the ride. I'm gonna call you, alright?" "For sure." AD pulled off, followed closely by the car. When they hit Linden, shots rang out, and he was chased to the bridge. QB, August 89, 3:28 a.m. Yeah, that cat calling my crib at 2 in the morning, talking about, "Just calm your boys, and I'll give y'all a pass." I'm like, "First off, son, how you get my number?" Malik chuckled. "Man, keeping an eye on these snakes is a full-time job. I miss lamping and just wilding out like we used to." "Me too," said Bill. "Let's hit the show after the 3rd when the money is slow." "Word. What you want to see?" asked Malik. Bill kept quiet and looked at his watch. I'm late. I gotta go do S." "Alright. Tell me when we off the clock." "When is that?" Bill asked, more serious than ever. "You just said it, Leak. We ain't never off the clock. Sky's getting dark. Life's but the twinkling of an eye. All that good shit. Plus we seen too much too soon. It's got you scared to go to sleep like if you blink you gon' miss something. I see it like this. Either we get busy living, get our props and our clout, or we get busy dying. Meditate on that. Yo, I'm out." 5 minutes later, at 3:33 a.m. Pow! One shot broke Malik's meditation. Then there was silence. 6 shots quickly followed. Malik's heart skipped and his eyes widened as he leapt to his feet. He ran and pushed open the door with the music, reached under the cushion of the couch, grabbed the 9, and raced out into the dungeon to face Hell's men. He was barely able to see as high as he be. He tripped and called out to Bill, who'd gotten the MAC-10 from the tall grass. Whistles and shots filtered down from the roof. Shadows scurried across the courtyard toward Malik. Bill fired, but the Mac hadn't been cleaned in a year and wouldn't spray right. It spit some shells that way, then jammed. He looked. Damn, 3 shells caught in the chamber. The flashes from the Mac had vanquished the shadows. Malik got up running. When he reached Bill, he was on his back breathing heavy, and his eyes were fixed on the stars. There was no blood, and Malik didn't see a bullet hole. Relieved, he smiled and lay down next to him. "You had me worried, God." Bill coughed. When it gurgled, Malik realized the mud was warm and sticky. He grabbed Bill's shoulders, raised him, and fell back in the mud. Shit! So many times they'd witnessed this scene secretly praying that it would never be them. Bill was silent. The beginnings of a smile creased his lips as he raised his hand and tried to focus. Malik was on his knees and took his palm as he bent over to hear last words. Seconds ticked by slowly as troops gathered around. Someone took the guns and stashed them. Miss Versi had already called upstairs. Malik saw Sheila running toward them barefoot and braless in her nightgown. Her and the sirens wailing wildly in the distance. There was no wind that night. The air was heavy and still. Yet she felt the gusts blow past her as 21 grams fled her son's body. He looked down on them ecstatic. His lifelong wish for wings had finally been granted. QB, the funeral. The organ grind as the choir sang Randy Crawford's "Knocking on Heaven's Door" to the capacity crowd. Excerpt 40.
Which is Knocking on Heaven's Door by Randy Crawford, not Guns N' Roses.
Mama, take this badge off of me. Yeah, I can't use it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark to see. I feel like knocking on heaven's door.
Young and old alike had come to pay homage to one of QB's finest, making the small parlor hot and uncomfortable. "Pay your respects and move to the side," they said. Malik couldn't hear them. He knelt beside the casket, refusing to let them by. He realized he'd never really known murder until that night, and wondered what Bill had seen when he looked down on his body. He stood and looked at his brethren, who was to be buried in his Class A's. A fila suit and heavy chain. Malik blessed his forehead. "Respect all, fear none. You were the baddest motherfucker in the valley." Bajira and Merlin finally coaxed him to his seat, but his mind stuck on the moment his best friend became a casualty of a war. He fought back tears as the preacher gave a sermon, laden with treacle remarks on what a waste of life this was. Malik could no longer stand to see his man that way. He asked Allah for forgiveness before he left. Fatima started after him, and Sirius took her hand. "No, baby, let him go." Outside, Malik borrowed a car. The first stop was the liquor store. The second was his building. Then up to his room, where from under the bed he uncovered 2 guns, a mask, and a flashlight. Not knowing where he was going, he went speeding off to wherever. Minutes later, lights were flashing in his rear view. He pulled the Cougar over, spilling tequila on his suit as he tried holding the steering wheel steady. The patrol car sped by, and Malik continued on his quest for redemption and amends. Both were elusive, and when he was unable to find them at the bottom of a bottle or in the chambers of his guns, he took his drunk ass home. Fatima threw down her copy of the Satanic Verses and opened the door as he fumbled with his keys. "It's almost 1 o'clock, Malik. Where have you been?" "Out." He headed for his room, and Sirius said calmly, "Leak, get your ass back in here and answer your mama." Malik stopped. He reeked of liquor. "I'm sorry, Ma. I just been driving around." Fatima sighed and hugged her son before saying her piece. "Malik, you know that we're all upset. Bill was like family to us. I'm not going to lie and say I know how you feel, because I've never gone through anything like this. I can tell you that I'm really praying for the Lord's forgiveness because I'm so relieved that I am not Sheila. I don't ever want to feel what she's feeling now. It was too late for that. Fatima was filled with empathy as she felt the loss of mothers everywhere. That could have just as easily been you. Bullets don't have names. Malik, you have got to get yourself together. Focus on the positive. If you keep putting all that poison in your body, you'll be moving on to harder things real soon. Let this be a wake-up call. Don't let Bill die in vain. She hugged him tight, filling his chest with sunshine. I love you, she said. I love you too, Ma. Sirius stood up. Come with me, Malik. They went in his room and shut the door. Malik sat quietly as Sirius's look burned a hole in his head. What did you do out there tonight? Nothing, Pop. Don't lie to me. I swear, I was by myself, just riding and thinking. I had a head full of ill thoughts, but I ain't do nothing. Sirius's stare masked his relief. He placed the shoebox on the bed. Where are they? Malik tried to think of an answer. Sirius was more forceful when he asked again, and Malik placed the pistols in the shoebox. I'll take these for a while. They're the last thing you need. Now, Sirius said. Now tell me about those thoughts. Malik took a seat on the bed. He didn't know where to start. He began yesterday with questions, but today he had answers. I wanted to represent for my man, so I came home and grabbed those. Then I went outside looking for the suspect in his killing. Would that have solved the problem or brought Bill back? No. But people been whispering things like it was my fault. And at the funeral, it seemed like everybody was looking at me. Besides, I figured Bill would do it for me. That all sounds silly, right? But I was mad hurt. I ain't know what to believe. You study the scriptures. We taught you right from wrong. You believe in what your heart tells you is right. Malik perked up. In the end, that's what I did. All while I was driving, I heard Bill saying that if I went through with this, it would make me, and that's not who I am. Sirius agreed, and Malik continued. But when I looked in the mirror, I hated me. Why? Because, he said, shrinking. I felt like a coward. Ugliness is jealous of beauty, said Sirius. Like Togarini is to Tifereth. After a minute, Malik said, I thought about you and Ma and Baggy. I realized you were right. Street glory and ghetto fame ain't worth it. I decided it was time for me to rethink my plan. What did you come up with? Something Bill said right before everything happened. It's like he was trying to push me in the right direction. Now it's time to destroy and rebuild. Transformation is tricky, Leek. When you deconstruct your world, you never know how long it's going to take to rebuild it. I hope you understand, it ain't easy. Malik responded quickly. I know, but neither is living a lie. Life is too short for me to be afraid of what people think or say. I'm sorry, Pop, but fuck 'em if they can't see my vision. From now on, I'm doing things my way. Sirius beamed as he hugged his son. That's my boy. Now you're ready. Malik pushed the shoebox toward him. You can keep them. I promise y'all I ain't gotta worry about me no more. I'ma work hard and get rich so we all can eat. How you gonna do that? I'ma do like you and Grandpa. Do the music thing. He laid his book of rhymes on the bed. I heard these two girls, Wendy and Lisa, say, only fools and kings make their wildest dreams. What you think about that? Sirius reached out to shake his son's hand before Malik sealed the door to his atelier. I think smart boys turn to men and do whatever they wish. The Amazon, July 87. They traveled from the coast of one sea to the other, still looking. But sweet dreams were turning quickly to street dreams for the family. In Maryland, the boy had gotten way too wild, and for Marion, the stress had gotten major. She shipped the children out west to a friend of the family who'd taken them in for the summer. It was a Tuesday when the bus pulled into the station, and this time there was a different feeling, like life was set to move at an accelerated pace. This might not be so bad after all. That was the boy's first thought as he admired the homes of the folks who lived on the hill. Foliage camouflaged them from their neighbors below, making it hard for them to see the jungle's ills. The boy couldn't take his eyes off the view. It was the kind of view that wanted to be seen. Aunt Audrey's car had just passed the police and fire stations when she stopped at the front for a few bottles of Cisco. That's what gave it away. In every hood, the storefronts were the same. Dealers on the corner trying to fatten their pockets and dishing out dimes for the thoughts of old men. Suddenly, the boy startled by the sound of blue thunder. They told him it never rained in Southern California. Aunt Audrey, what's that? That's the ghetto bird, she laughed. Stay out of its way. You don't want it to drop a load on you. As she opened the door, a group surrounded the car, searching for a plate or a face that looked familiar, all swearing they could place the cat that was gonna kill them. Charisse gripped her brother's arm. He gripped his 9 and comforted her. Don't worry about nothing. These cats don't know my style. The helicopter spotlight dispersed the crowd, and the squad car rolled down on them. The cops jumped out with an attitude. What the fuck are you waiting for? Move this piece of shit. The boy tightened his grip, thinking, fuck the police. One cop knocked on the driver's window and repeated himself. Just then, Audrey came out of the store, followed by one of the dealers. She was totally relaxed as she brushed past the officer and into the vehicle. This is a legal space, and all my papers check out, so watch it, sucker. The cops moved on to harass someone else as the dealer leaned inside the window and peeped what the boy was holding. Y'all straight in here? We fine, Audrey said to him. I'ma see you Friday. Aight. Yo, shorty, don't hurt nobody. Audrey drove off as he and the boy silently traded crooked smiles. The next day, the children set out to explore things on this side. At 15, Charisse was ripe, and the neighborhood accepted her, but nothing had changed for the boy. This block was like all the rest. Men called him a pretty kid, and the Amazon women called him gay. Still, he wasn't giving up on the hood. Again, he prayed. And after 3 days of sipping Thunderbird and grape Kool-Aid, the dealer from the front showed up with a fifth of Hennessy. Sup, homie? You drinking? Charisse had told him that he was part of the clique and the man to see if he wanted to get on. He was a big guy, 21 with a wife and a baby's mama, 2 kids, a caddy, a crib, and a fat pocket. That made him a baller in the Amazon. Everyone called him J.I. You know them other dudes don't think you really down. They say you ain't from the West, so fuck you. I say it ain't where you from. It's where you at. So if you want to, you can roll with me on the night shift. Same deal as the others. You get a dub off every 100 you serve. That cool, little homie? The boy sat on the step of Audrey's apartment, looking dismal in a crumpled hat, turned to the back, and no-name shirt, shorts, and run-down work boots. J.I. towered over him. The boy had met his kind before. Some on Decatur, plenty in New York. Flashy cats full of pride and arrogance. Small time, but they were the cream of their ghetto blocks, and they knew it. They had no time and only one use for broke cats like him. But by now, it was obvious that Audrey and Marion were on similar paths. On top of that, he was 18 and responsible for a little girl whose empty stomach had seduced her to fuck the world. "I'm cool with that," he said to the dealer. "You know," said J.I., coming at him again, "I got family back east. I've been here since I was 7, but I go there at least once a year to parlay. What about you?" "Don't ask me about my past. It was all bad." "I hear that. But it's some shit you gotta know, partner. 'Cause things is different on this side." He pulled a pack of Newports from his pocket. The boy asked for one. J.I. passed him two. "For a G to get ahead around here," said J.I., "he gotta be the first out the gate and stay bubbling, 'cause the next man is always looking for that come-up." "But you know that," J.I. winked. "I caught what you was holding that night in the car. It ain't look like you was backing down for one time either. That's good, 'cause these cats is scared of them punks. We got crooked cops from as far as L.A. coming through robbing the homies for their bread. It'll be good to have a G who'll pull that thing. I ain't never scared. Good. Stay away from the bangers. Most of them is bitch-made, with no heart." He looked down at the boy's feet. "Next thing you do is get some Nikes. 'Cause out here, when we fight, it's in the middle of the night with no lights on. Speaking of that, I hope you can box. 'Cause ain't nothing but killers in the park where we be." The boy sat back, sponging up J.I.'s spiel and wondering, why me? What forces had brought them together? And more importantly, what price would he have to pay? J.I.'s kind did nothing for free. Even he knew the game is to be sold, not told. But as wrong as it seemed, this was his means to an end. He decided, whatever the price, he was going to have it. Each morning he was up before the sunrise, and every night he was the last one to leave the block. All part of his plan to make a killing. Straight balling. The Amazon. 2 weeks later. "Man, let me get that." J.I. confiscated his pack, ending the boy's career. It was just as well. Dealing wasn't his thing. No one had bothered to explain to him the fundamentals of that game. Some of them he'd learned early on through the beatdowns he'd taken before he got his boxing game right. Only his reputation for keeping the gat close kept the killers off him. After winning one fight in particular against the clique's champion brawler, they reluctantly took him in, showing him the same kind of love that you show a stray dog. The dealers gave him a new job making food and liquor runs, but most of his nights were spent rolling blunts, chiefing, writing rhymes, and entertaining the homies on the set with his crazy dreams. "Y'all cats watch what I tell you. I'ma have more money, more weed, more rhymes, and more platinum records than any other rapper." Once the laughter was over, and the haters had finished hating themselves, there were always the few who managed to look past the boy's appearance and the hubris of his words to mine for the truth. And the truth was, he had some tight shit. Plus, when it came to his music, he was determined. He may have been on the bottom any other time, but when he performed, it was clear that nobody or nothing could stop him from shining. Unlike the others who put their energy into more conventional hustles, he ate, drank, and slept rap. And though it took some time, the Amazon found that the skinny, bummy little dude from the East Coast who couldn't play ball or sell dope could rap his ass off. He developed a following, and like a 20th century troubadour, he gave his listeners a little positivity for those long nights slanging in the alleys of Cali. The Amazon, July 88. J.I. was a traveler too. He'd been up north in Portland for a few months having things his way. When he returned pushing the Cadillac Escalante, the other members of the clique jumped on his dick and filled him with the gossip like they always did. But this time, he had to share his shine. "What up, boy?" asked J.I. enthusiastically. The boy was happy to see him. "What up, cousin? When you get back? I rode in late last night, but fuck me. I hear you round here rocking shit like them Quakes do. Folks telling me you a star now. I'm trying. If you think them drugs got 'em fiending, wait till they get a hit of me." J.I. perceived that as an insult. "Son, it's taking you long enough. You been on that bullshit forever." The boy took it in stride. "Man, shit don't happen overnight. If you want to make it in this game, you gotta work at it." "Uh-huh. That's why I'd rather use my gun, 'cause I get the money quicker. But I see you on the come up. When I left, you was wearing silver. Now I come back, and you sporting some gold." They laughed and showed each other love. "You still holding them things?" asked J.I. The boy raised his shirt and showed his gun. "Well, what you on, man?" "I gotta check a few traps." "Why don't you roll with a cat? I got a little something we can break down and roll up." They hung out the rest of the day, showing off and kicking it with the homies in the hood. That evening, J.I. was feeling so good, he let him ride on a short trip to one of his girls' houses. Driving home that night, they were buzzed and swerving down the 405. The top was down, and the stereo was pumping the Isleys for the love of you. When a car full of white boys damn near wrecked their shit checking out J.I.'s ride. The boy loved every minute of it. "Damn, Jay, you did a cat right today. I had a ball, that's my word." "That's your word?" said J.I. smiling. "My mom always told me, without your word, you a shell of a man." "That's good advice." "You think that's good advice? I got tons of that shit," said the boy. "What about putting some of that money on your boy? All I need is some studio time for a good demo, and I'ma blow the fuck up. The money gonna come, and I'll be able to pay you back with a quickness." J.I. didn't know a thing about the music business, and the word from his homies back east was that even good rappers got jerked around. That meant a lot because he never really felt the boy's style. "Man, I can't just throw paper at you like that. But I tell you what, you can earn that shit. I'm about to start grinding in the Amazon again. I need a homie with a strap watching my back. You do that for me, and I think you can make your demo money." The boy had no problem with the work ethic. Holding the strap was better than being a runner. They bumped fists. "It's a done deal." J.I. laughed inside. It was funny to him. Broke cats and their dreams. "I'd rather use my gun, 'cause I get the money quicker." The Amazon, August 89, 2:45 a.m. Yesterday afternoon, the boy received 2 letters. What looked like a mural covered the envelope of the first. The contents told him of Yosef's worsening condition at the hands of federal authorities. "To my brother, friend, and son. I hope this letter finds you in the best of regards. It's funny how things turned out. All the time we lived under the same roof to have to talk this way. It's been a while since we've conversed. Let me stop bullshitting. We never really have. There was so much I wanted to say. So much you needed to hear. There never seemed to be enough time before, but there's plenty now. What a man has to come to when he's facing 60 years. Growing up, I never gave it much thought, as I'm sure you haven't. But since your family tree consists of drug dealers, thugs, and killers, maybe it's time you did. As a young black male and a soldier in this ongoing war, maybe you should. From the cradle to the grave, our lives have never been easy. You had no choice. Born when you were yours was destined to be a struggle of polarities. I was there in the hospital when the doctor smacked your ass and you smacked him back. Reflexes, I guess. I remember sitting on the bed cleaning my Mac 10. You'd be lying in the dresser drawer with a gleam in your eye, reaching out begging to touch it. But that's the way your daddy made you. May Allah help to guide you and save you, heir to the throne. Young prince, here to save the movement. The voices called out to you, coronating you even before birth. I know that in your head they have not stopped. I hope that the night brings you some measure of peace. Daylight is approaching here in hell. This estate is so military, but it's not meant to reform. It is meant to break the hearts and minds of those who would dare cry freedom. Nothing is promised to you in here. Even waking is uncertain. So if this is to be our last correspondence, I want you to know the truth. Where do I begin to tell you of my struggle, our struggle? Do I begin in Nebraska, in the house of my parents? Or shall I start with the years of study and suffering in the Bay and the lessons that I learned based on them? Municipalities. By now, you know of the war and all its propaganda, perhaps the revolution and the beginning of my political activities with the Black Panther Party, the cause of its collapse, and perhaps a word or two on nations and race in general. But first, the development of the party and how it came to be. The panther is a peaceful creature by nature, but what does it do when it's back against the wall? It does not lie down. It does not retreat or surrender. It fights, and dies if it must. You see, there is a pride in the panther. Can you see it? The man had us under his thumb until Sister Rosa set it off. Then came the riots, Malcolm's murder, turbulent times. Stokely respected King's nonviolent approach, but we needed an antithesis to his thesis. The government had the agency. We needed something similar. An underground movement to recruit and fund our political aspirations. I was never a politician. Telling lies wasn't my thing. I was and still am for truth. I wanted to be a radical. Someone that the establishment knew and was worried about. A general. So in '66, when Eldridge and Huey got it started in Oakland, I joined. The brothers had it all planned. We'd mobilize in the big cities first. Along with providing food and medical treatment for the poor, we'd demand our due. What you ask was that. Land, oil, you name it. It should have been whatever the fuck we wanted. No government reparations could pay for 430 years of black Holocaust. Who'd trust them anyway after the way they fucked the Indians? So we kept it simple by marching on Washington and exercising our right to bear arms on the steps of their precious Capitol building, where we issued Executive Mandate Number 1. 1. We want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our black community. 2. We want full employment for our people. 3. We want an end to the robbery by the white man of our black community. 4. We want decent housing, fit for shelter of human beings. 5. We want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. 6. We want all black men to be exempt from military service. 7. We want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people. 8. We want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jails. 9. We want all black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in court by a jury of their peer group or people from their black communities as defined by the Constitution of the United States. 10. We want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace, and as our major political objective, a United Nations supervised plebiscite to be held throughout the black colony in which only black colonial subjects will be allowed to participate for the purpose of determining the will of black people as to their national destiny. After that, they created the Mulford Act and banned our weapons. That's what happens when the common man acquires common sense. You see, son, racism in America is the product of ignorance and capitalism. Therefore, at its core, our struggle is not a black or white one. It's a class struggle, and people realize that. Our membership rose to over 2,000, and after we read Mao's Red Book and adopted a more Marxist-Leninesque stance, we attracted the attention of non-black organizations as well. There was an unstoppable force taking shape. Brother Fred Hampton called it the Rainbow Coalition, but there were eyes watching. J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI described this as the greatest threat to the internal security of the country. In 1968, he ordered the FBI to use hard-hitting counterintelligence measures to cripple the Black Panthers. Those hard-hitting measures Hoover spoke of turned out to be Operations COINTELPRO and Chaos, programs created for use on communists and terrorists. We were neither. We were supposed to be citizens. Still, they hit our phones and offices with illegal black bag jobs. They set up swallows' nests and ravens' nests. We were surrounded by shadows, and spooks sat constantly by our doors. But we weren't the only ones. Hoover spied on everyone that he deemed to be an un-American, from civil rights groups to anti-war protesters. You couldn't trust a soul. Everybody was a potential agent. The SNCC committee that was our nucleus began to crumble from the inside. In 6 years, 24 members had been murdered by the authorities, and the practice continues to this day despite Executive Order 12333 of 1981, which specifically prohibits the agency from collecting intel concerning the domestic activities of U.S. citizens and explicitly prohibits the agency from engaging either directly or indirectly in assassinations. Nah, man. We didn't invite trouble. It just came to us. We'd run, and it would run after us. There had to be a place to hide. After your sister was born, I left New York, got some work, and stayed a while in Detroit, Chicago, and St. Louis. Then came the incident with my sister in '76. After that, I had no choice. I came back to see you guys before I went under. It was the happiest time of my life, and the voices were right. You were a sight to see. I knew then I was bearing witness to someone special. My son, I know that times are rough. I know of our family's condition. Your mother has told me what you are doing to survive. I know it seems that these days a new consciousness has emerged, that all the rebels are long gone and that it's you against the world. Keep in mind, the greatest burden you bear is to yourself. That decision you make to be true to you. No one would blame you if you chose not to take up your father's cause. Young prince, the battle is fought on many fronts. Some soldiers use a pen, others a gun. Remember the one thing I always told you. The most dangerous weapon is an educated black man. It seems these days that rebellion is frowned upon. Personally, like Thomas Jefferson said, I believe that a little rebellion every now and then is a good thing. God forbid that 20 years should pass without such. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. So I ask again, what do you want to be now that you've grown up? Whatever your answer, I salute you. And in the words of Soledad brother George Jackson, let them never count you among the broken men. One love, one nation, your father, friend, and comrade, Yosef. The boy was livid. Ain't shit funny about the way this turned out. He read the second letter again, the one from Selective Services. Give me a break. How much could one brother take? Pushed to the limit and nearly psychotic, he sat on the milk crate in the alley and began writing a letter of his own. Dear Mr. President, please tell me what to do. Minutes later, at 3:18 a.m., there was a 380 just inches from his temple. Stick 'em up. J.I. had used his rough voice. Okay, said the boy. Just 'cause I'm rapping? He pointed to the Mini 14 stashed in the bushes. J.I. laughed. Come on, man. We gonna get this game started or what? Yeah, homie. Pour the hen. The boy scribbled an ending to his letter. And furthermore, if you ain't know, I was born enlisted. It's more cats than it is police, and we all strapped. So fuck your FBI, fuck your CIA, fuck you, and fuck peace too. If we gotta die, we gotta. That's on my mama. War. Already a soldier. He folded the letters and stuffed them in his back pocket. J.I. pulled up a crate and dealt the cards. If we had journeyed with them inside their mind's eyes, we would have seen the future quietly materializing inside the dark rooms of their heads as the two sat sipping yak, playing spades, and fantasizing about the things they'd grow to be.